Yo, yo. Welcome back to another episode of Free Game, episode 33. I apologize for not dropping this yesterday, which would be Monday. This will come out Tuesday. Had some Thanksgiving dinners to go to, so yeah, good food, good times, good people, good football games too. But yeah, everything else is good, man. Just working and eating, pretty much. Word of advice: you want a challenging thing to do? Take family pictures with a 3-year-old. See how far that gets you. Yeah, we had fun. But before we start, you already know, make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If you're following on Apple Podcasts, appreciate it. If you're following on Spotify, appreciate it. YouTubers and TikTokers, appreciate it. All right, let's get into it, guys. It is Iron Bowl week. And yeah, it's about that time. So, spread's 5.5. Alabama's favored. I think the line will probably get down to 3.5, maybe. Once the Auburn better start getting in, but yeah, it's a lot of implications on the line. There's been so many scenarios that have taken place when it comes to Alabama's path to the playoff. All we got to do is win. Okay. I don't really care about any other scenarios. I don't care if we get to the SEC championship or not, because if we don't win in Auburn, then it's over. Our playoff hopes are done. Coach DeBoer's job will be on the line. I guarantee that. And so all we got to do is worry about Auburn. As far as my prediction goes, I think Alabama wants to run the ball. They're so stubborn. They don't care that they can't run the ball. They're going to run it anyway, so we're just going to have to get used to it. I've seen some good things from Eastern Illinois. Granted, it was Eastern Illinois, but A.K. Deer, man. A.K. Deer is going to be nice. He's going to be really, really solid. Jam was okay. Ty threw a couple picks, but, it was... Some of them were throwaways, and it's just whatever. Our main goal is this. In order for us to win this game, Ryan Williams is going to have a Ryan Williams game. Okay? No more drop passes. No more fumbling the ball. He needs to catch with his hands, not his body. Jeremy Bernard, he's going to be him. Not too worried about him. Not too worried about the defense neither. It's just mainly Ryan and Ty. They have to show up, and they have to play like it's the last game of their life. And I know it's Auburn. I get it. Everybody's saying, you guys are acting like this is Ohio State. You guys are acting like, this is Texas or Georgia. No, this is Auburn at Jordan-Hare. Okay? Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Ask any Alabama fan. Man, I don't want to go through kick six again. The moment we seen kick six, I was watching it with my dad and my brother. It was the most devastating thing I have ever witnessed in my life. I've witnessed a lot of sports tragedies. I've witnessed the Warriors lose a 3-1 lead in the finals to LeBron. I've witnessed the Villanova, North Carolina Tar Heel buzzer beater in the championship. Like, I have been ruined as a sports fan. So, kick six is definitely at the top of the list. I don't want to go through it again. I want to beat the brakes out of Auburn. They're starting their 5-star freshman, which he's pretty solid. We have to win, obviously, but I have a feeling we're going to win decisively. If it were me, if I was a betting man, if betting was legal in Nebraska, I would take the over. For Alabama to go over 5.5. I don't think Auburn would cover. I think this is a very important game for Coach DeBoer, simply because he knows the implications, and he knows if he doesn't get into the playoff, that's his ass. His job is on the line if he doesn't get Alabama to the playoff again. So, yeah, we just need Bama to win. I'm not going to say anything else, okay? We're just going to coast until we get there. Just enjoy your time. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Enjoy all the other rivalry weeks. I think the Egg Bowl's on Friday. That's going to be interesting simply because Mr. Kiffin, we'll get to him after this. And you obviously have the game, Michigan, Ohio State. That's going to have some pretty interesting implications. Michigan needs to win that game in order to get to the playoff. A&M and Texas, that's a huge one. Texas needs that game in order for them to stay in the playoff or have a chance to get in the playoff. And yeah, like, I think Miami and who would they be playing? Miami and Pitt? I think it's Pitt. Let me check that one. And then obviously you got like the, Nebraska-Iowa game, which unfortunately only people here care about because they got smacked by Penn State. But it is what it is. We're not here to talk about, Nebraska. It is what it is. Yeah, they do play Pitt. So that's a big game too. And, Pitt just beat Georgia Tech. And if Pitt beats Miami, I think they have a shot to go to the ACC championship. And they would get into the playoff. There's a bunch of crazy scenarios that are happening rivalry week. And, teams are going to be in need of some wins. A lot of implications. This might be the craziest rivalry week, the most important rivalry week ever in college football, simply because there are 12 spots. Conference championships matter somewhat, but in order for you to keep that record with, 2 losses, everybody has a shot, So a lot of crazy games, a lot of crazy situations that are happening. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about Lane Kiffin for a second. Ole Miss came out and said, we're going to give Lane Kiffin till after the Egg Bowl to make a decision on where he wants to coach next year. This is the collegiate bachelor, all right? Who is Lane going to pick? Now, a couple episodes ago, I said that I don't think he's going to be coaching college football next season. It's looking like he is going to coach college football next season, but you never know. Lane is a troll. Okay, let's just say what it is. He trolls a lot. Okay? You don't know what Lane's going to do. I don't even think Lane knows what he's going to do. If I were Lane, put into this tricky of a spot, you'd have to pick soon. If you're deciding on leaving Ole Miss, the transfer portal window is right down the corner next month. Signing day and all the other people that you have to try to convince off of Ole Miss, like your quarterback and your running back and whoever else. He's put in such a tough spot though. Like, you have Ole Miss in playoff contention. They don't have to go to the SEC championship to get in the playoff. If they win out, they're in. They beat Mississippi State, all's good. But if he loses to Mississippi State, does that affect his college coaching opportunities? Does LSU say, you know what, you just lost to Mississippi State, I think we're going to go elsewhere? Same with Florida. And then you may be stuck at Ole Miss. So this is a huge game, a massive game for Lane Kiffin. My predictions, if it's not the NFL, right, the obvious answer is LSU. More resources, the top program out of everybody, the in-state recruiting, I might add. And you don't have to compete with anybody else in Louisiana. I mean, you just got Tulane and La Tech. Florida's got, like I said, Miami, Florida State, USF, UCF, a lot more schools and a lot a lot more recruits that can go to those schools. LSU, you're the main attraction, you know? So if I were to put money on it, I think he would pick LSU. And that you don't turn jobs like this down. There's not going to be a year where these top of the line blue blood college football programs are going to open up ever again. This is it. This is it. This is the most insane coaching carousel ever. You know? So yeah, I think Lane's going to LSU. If he doesn't go to an NFL team. Like the Giants maybe. You know, right after that episode dropped where I said I was going to the Dolphins, the Giants job opened up. So does he go back and coach his old quarterback Jackson Dart? I don't see Lane as a New York guy. I see him more of a Miami guy, but I don't think he has much of a choice here. It's either Ole Miss or LSU. I don't think Florida's in the running. I would like to see him in Florida, though, but it is what it is, man. I'm going to go LSU. But that is it for college football. Shouts out to James Franklin. He's coaching at Virginia Tech now. I said Auburn. Virginia Tech and Auburn, kind of the same, program in their respective conferences. In the ACC, he has a better opportunity of getting to the college football playoff rather than the Big Ten or the SEC, simply because it's lesser competition. You probably won't get a second team anytime soon if they expand the playoff. But, I think that's a good landing spot for James. I think less pressure, not going to a big-time program where you're expected to win day in and day out. He can go somewhere where you can chill for a couple years, build that program up from the ground up, and, stay there 10, 15 years, So kudos to him. A lot of people are saying that John Summerall might be the next head coach of Auburn. I like it. I like Summerall. I think, what he's done with Tulane is remarkable. And, I think that LSU job is kind of occupied right now. He's not the big enough name for a LSU or a Florida maybe, but Auburn's perfect for him. The resources are there. Once again, he's a solid college football coach, well decorated, and got the name. So, we'll see what happens after this Iron Bowl. Maybe the win will depend on if Summerall goes there or not. But that is it for college football. I'm super excited for a rivalry week. Roll Tide. We got to get it done, guys. We got to get it done. Let's go to the NBA. So I didn't talk about it, but Nico Harris is fired as a GM for the Dallas Mavericks. Obviously, he made the worst NBA trade of all time, sending Luka to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. And now there's no Nico. What that tells me is that was his idea. I feel like if it was the ownership's idea, Nico would have been like, okay, I'll do this, but I need job security. You can't fire me if I do this, Now, I'm pretty sure he had to talk to ownership for it to happen and get the okay, but this wasn't ownership's idea. I don't know why Nico did this. The out of shape, doesn't take, his conditioning serious, fat Luka, all that shit's out the window. Fat Luka was averaging 28. Now he's averaging damn near 30. Maybe over 30. And you put him in a bigger market. You're in the same conference. And you paired him up with LeBron. And AR. This by far will go down as the worst trade in NBA history. The worst. I don't have to even go through it again. My reaction, I already had it. I was hot because I don't like the Lakers. But Nico's gone. Now, what is next for Dallas? First things first, you need a new GM. Give Bob Myers a call. Obviously, he was with the Golden State Warriors. He helped, architect that whole dynasty with Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and then obviously bringing in KD, 4-time champ. He's a great GM. Take it from me. I love Bob. I think he's ahead of his time when it comes to talent. He missed a few times, with James Wiseman and stuff like that, but it'll happen. You don't hit on every single pick unless you're Sam Presti. But, give Bob Myers a call. And I think that this NBA trade deadline that's coming up is going to be insane again. A lot more bigger names are going to hit the market. A la Anthony Davis, Ja Morant would be the two headline NBA trades that all these NBA teams need, man. The thing is, though, these two aren't like a Kevin Durant, where you can plug him into any team, any system, and it's going to work. It's not that simple. A specific team or teams is going to be in need of Anthony Davis. Now, the question is, do you gamble on Anthony Davis knowing his injury history? Me personally, if I'm a Warriors fan, I would like Anthony Davis. But how long would he be able to stay healthy? That's the thing. The system works. He's a perfect Steve Kerr guy. He stretches the floor. He can shoot. He can defend. He can post up when he wants to. And he doesn't have to play the 5. You can have Draymond play the 5 if you want. You could have Quentin Post play the 5. You can run multiple lineups. Now, I would like him to play the 5 with the Warriors, simply because you have Draymond and Anthony Davis, Jimmy Butler, Steph, and whoever. I would like that lineup a lot, but are we going to get him? No. Our only trade piece that we would definitely be trading is Jonathan Kuminga, and I think we had to give a lot more to get Anthony Davis, but it's worth a call. Realistically, not talking as a fan, the fit, why not the Celtics? Anthony Davis to the Celtics. You get JT back eventually. Keep Jaylen Brown. You would have to send off somebody like a Derek White maybe, and a couple of bench players. Would it be worth it? I think so. They're just in apron issues. The Celtics are. Would they be able to get it done without going over the second apron again? Because you see last season, it really screwed them up. They would have to trade, they traded away Al Horford, Kristaps Porzingis, a bunch of other players just to get by. And, I don't know what Anthony Davis's contract would be, but that's not a bad fit. JT, Jaylen Brown, Anthony Davis. Solid. Also, I was thinking the Spurs. The Spurs would be scary. If you send De'Aaron Fox and a couple of young pieces that are on the bench, and you pair it with Anthony Davis, that's nasty with Wemby. Nasty. You don't really need a De'Aaron Fox. You got Harper. I think he can play that point guard role very well. And AD can play the 4. But the thing is he healthy, though? That's the thing. So I'm going to go Warriors, obviously, Celtics, and Spurs for Anthony Davis. If they can make that work, I think that would be a nice fit for AD. And yeah, it would be a good fit for the other teams. That's like a championship quality piece right there. Now, Ja Morant is a interesting one because his play style isn't like a pseudo point guard. He's more of a scoring point guard. Super duper athletic, man. But him in Memphis, it's over. I hate to say it, but it's over. Now, when it comes to like the off the court stuff, you got to deal with that. The attitude stuff, you got to deal with that. But on the court, he is electrifying. There's no doubt about it. And you have to be smart if you try to land him, because the system has to work right now. He's a little bit more he's tougher. I was thinking maybe the Timberwolves will be fun. Ja Morant to Minnesota with Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert would be fun. The thing is, you would have to probably trade Julius or Rudy Gobert, but him and Ant would be dynamic as an offense. Dynamic. Thing is like you're giving up a lot of defense, and there's not enough basketballs to go around for those two because they are high volume shooters. But that would be fun. So I'm gonna go Minnesota. The Clippers aren't a bad idea neither. Bradley Beal had a season-ending hip injury, so he's out for the season. Him, James Harden, and Kawhi Leonard would be a nasty, nasty, nasty trio if Kawhi could stay healthy. Now, James Harden, he pulled out a vintage performance, going 55. Ja could be the scoring guard, and you can have James facilitate, or you can flip-flop. I like the Clippers for Ja. That would be dope. And what if you flip-flop Trae Young to Memphis and Ja Morant to Atlanta? Ja seems like an Atlanta Hawk type of guy. He really does. Now, you're pretty much getting kind of the same thing back. It's kind of a fair trade. But I think for the city of Atlanta, they would love it. Now, they probably do love Trae to death, but they would love Ja Morant in Atlanta. That don't sound too bad. Just for, marketing-wise. I think basketball-wise, it'll just be the same. But, yeah, for Ja, it would be Minnesota, the Clippers, and Atlanta. That'd be fun. There would be a bunch of other players, too. Like, Klay Thompson's going to hit the market. And listen, by the way, there will be no Klay Thompson slander on this show. All right? He's happy. Leave him alone. I don't care if he's shooting backwards. Okay? There's no Klay Thompson slander on this show whatsoever. Let Klay be happy, man. I know he don't even care about basketball right now. It's fine. Okay? He's living a great life right now. No Klay Thompson slander. But he's definitely going to be hitting the market. Nikola Vucevic is going to be a hot name for sure. If he wants to leave Chicago. That's the thing. He is so good. I would love to have him on the Warriors too. But look for him to be out on the market. And there were some rumors about LaMelo Ball maybe in the market. Now, he said it was false, but I mean, if you're LaMelo, okay, is Charlotte really your destination? I don't think so. Now, there's a lot of teams that would benefit having LaMelo Ball as a point guard. I mean, shit, send him to Dallas. They need a point guard. Send him to Houston. They need a point guard. And anywhere else, if you don't need a point guard, he's dynamic enough where he can play a 2-point guard role, like at the Warriors. I know I want everybody to go to the Warriors because I do, but listen, the system fits. And I think LaMelo would fit a lot of systems. He's very unselfish. He's a high volume, low efficiency, but you get what you take from that, okay? So, yeah, look for those names that hit the market. There's probably a lot more during the trade deadline. It's going to be crazy. The trade deadline is going to replace the offseason because the offseason with this new apron and CBA, it's over. The trade deadline is going to be the most exciting NBA trade just because it's in the middle of the season. So, all these teams are getting these new pieces with before All-Star break. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's definitely going to be better than, I don't know if it's going to be better than last year's because last year's was crazy. We had Luka and Jimmy got traded. It's going to be up to par. I think we're going to be excited as NBA fans. So, yeah, that's it for the NBA section of this. Now, I I was going through something the other day, and I was just thinking about. I think a lot of stuff when I'm out there by myself delivering packages. And What a Time to Be Alive came up in my algorithm. And I got to thinking, like, what's the greatest collab hip-hop album of all time? In my opinion, there's only two that really stand out. That's What a Time to Be Alive and Watch the Throne. Which one's better? I mean, preference-wise, I probably listened to What a Time to Be Alive more than Watch the Throne. But Watch the Throne was insanely iconic. Insanely iconic. Drake and Future make good music together, okay? But this, Watch the Throne, what, Prime Kanye and Prime Hove? Listen, guys, I know the age group might be a factor in it. I grew up on What a Time to Be Alive and Watch the Throne. I think Watch the Throne came out when I was in like high school, and What a Time to Be Alive came out when I was in college. Great memories from both albums. Played them crazy. But I just think Watch the Throne has more longer lasting hit songs than What a Time to Be Alive does. I mean, Niggas in Paris, that's a dub. Ham was insane. That was on the deluxe. No Church in the Wild with Frank Ocean. Welcome to the Jungle. Lift Off, I love. There's a great song with Beyonce. Great song. But the thing is, it's just like, when you're talking about hip hop, there's just, these two made sense. Kanye and Jay-Z made sense. Drake and Future kind of make sense, but it's two different styles of hip hop. Future's more the, deep South Atlanta, not mumble rap, but you know what I'm saying. And Drake is lyrical miracle, heavy bars. Jay-Z and Kanye are like the perfect mix. The perfect mix. So me personally, I think Watch the Throne is better. I love both albums, but I think for the best collab album, I think that album stands the test of time. And I feel like a lot of people would vibe better with What a Time to Be Alive, but I don't think it gets the stamp of approval of a classic as Watch the Throne does. So, what do you guys think? Let me know. Now, some interesting things did happen over the week. Some weird comparisons that came up in my algorithm. Draymond Green and Kenyon Martin are beefing, unfortunately. How this all started, I think, was Kenyon Martin went on a podcast and he didn't call Draymond Green soft. He just said that he was Draymond's real decisive, who he picks on and who he doesn't pick on. Kind of like he picks on people who he knows he could probably beat up. That's the context of it. He wasn't calling him soft or anything like that. He was just saying that, he picks on the little guy more. Let's just put it that way. And Draymond went back at him and pretty much pulled up his stats. Compared him to what he didn't have. And then Kenyon Martin came back and pulled up his stats and told Draymond Green what he didn't have that Kenyon Martin had. Okay, it's what I've concluded in this is a weird comparison. Two completely different styles of basketball players that play the same position in two different eras, I might add. Kmart's era, the late 90s, early 2000s, it was a power forward era. By far. You had Tim Duncan, KG, Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, Zach Randolph, my cousin Antonio McDyess, Andre Karolinko, AK-47, like Chris Webber. The era of power forwards was definitely in the early 2000s, and Kmart was smack dab in the prime of that. And it was a different style of basketball. Your power forwards weren't, stretching the floor like they are today. And if they did, they were rare, like a Lamar Odom or a Hito Turkoglu, guys like that. In Draymond's era, if you can't shoot or pass or dribble at the 4 position, you probably won't start. There was more skill needed in this era when it came to the power forward position. I mean, look at them. Anthony Davis, Giannis, Kevin Durant, even LeBron plays 4. So, 2 completely different eras, 2 completely different players stylistically. Kmart was more of a scorer. He was asked to score, and he was a great defender, by the way. I think that was a big argument. Is Draymond's a better defender than Kmart? He is, but Kmart got screwed off a lot of all defensive teams during those years in the 2000s. So he was a very good defender. My opinion is they're both Hall of Famers, okay? Draymond's got 4 chips. Kenyon has none. He's been to the finals twice. He played the Lakers with Kobe and Shaq. Good luck beating that team. You're not gonna. The argument in my generation is, who has more rings? You guys do it with Jordan. So are you Jordan guys going to not count the rings for Kenyon Martin? Because that's pretty much his age group, is Jordan guys. 6 rings. That's what you guys say. Draymond has 4. He has none. Draymond has DPOIs. He has none. Draymond can guard 1 through 5. I'm not saying Kenyon can't, but not at the level Draymond Green does. And listen, I know this is coming from a Warriors fan, but Draymond Green has pissed me off a lot, okay? He gives me the most stress every time I watch a Warriors game. Every time. But I will say this about Draymond. We don't have 4 championships without him. That's a fact. I'll put it to you like this. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we can try to see who's better. And I want you guys to, please, if you agree with me, tell me. If you disagree, tell me too. Because I would like to know. If you put Kenyon Martin, prime Kenyon Martin, on this Warriors team, do we win 4 championships? I don't think so. If you put Draymond on that New Jersey Nets team with Jason Kidd and Richard Jefferson, does that team have a better record? I don't think they would beat the Lakers, but would they have a better opportunity of winning a championship? I think so. Simply because he does more than just score. Now, he can't score like Kenyon, that's a fact. But he does everything else better. He defends better. He play makes better. He passes better. He communicates better. IQ's better. Shooting, they both weren't the best knockdown shooters. But I'd say Kenyon would be a better shooter than Draymond. But I think Draymond's just a better player. Not because of the accolades. Because of the stuff that he has to do as an undersized power forward. And Kenyon called him the ultimate glue guy, which was so disrespectful. Listen, I get it, but Draymond Green is not a glue guy. Glue guys don't get DPOYs, first team all defenses, and 4 championships. That's not a glue guy. Udonis Haslem at the end of his career is a glue guy. DeAndre Jordan currently is a glue guy. People that are on the bench that can control the locker room, give advice to the young guys. Draymond Green is not a glue guy, Kenyon. I'm sorry. Some of the stuff I did agree with you on. I do agree that you are a better scorer than Draymond Green. I do agree that the power forward era that you played in was a lot tougher than the power forward era today. I know that personally because my cousin Antonio McDyess, he played in that era. But the ultimate glue guy, hell no, he's not a glue guy. And listen, I know you want to take the championships and the accolades out the way and take Steph Curry and Klay Thompson out of the picture. But if you take Draymond Green out of the picture, we don't have 4 championships. We may have 1, maybe, but we don't have 4. Draymond Green did a lot in his prime and still does a lot today. And he's asked to do a lot. In that era, you were guarding the best power forward. Draymond Green's guarding the best player. Not just a player in his position. 1 through 5. So, if you think that Kenyon is better than Draymond, let me know. I would love to debate it. I don't think so. This isn't about who's tougher. This isn't about who could beat each other's ass. This ain't about that. It's about basketball. Who was the better basketball player? I think it's Draymond Green. It's close. It's a weird matchup, by the way. It's weird. It's like having a versus with Future and Kendrick. There's just 2 completely different styles of basketball. But it is interesting. It is interesting. Thanksgiving's coming up. Yeah. Who's ready to eat, man? So, with this Thanksgiving pod, Thanksgiving week, I got a top 5 Thanksgiving must-haves that have to be in the house in order for me to attend. All right? And this is the greatest top 5 Thanksgiving must-haves you will ever hear in your life. Nobody's top 5 is better than this one right here. Number 5, gotta go with ham. For sure. Glazed ham. Number 4, mac and cheese. Baked, preferably, of course. Number 3, dinner rolls with the butter. And the dinner rolls gotta be warm. Number 2, pumpkin pie with a bunch of whipped cream. All right? Pause. But, pumpkin pie, hands down. And number 1 is NFL football. If you don't have these top 5 items at your house, you need to be arrested. Your Thanksgiving ain't doing enough. All right? The best top 5 ever. Hands down. But finally, we're at the end of the section where it's the free gamer of the week. And my free gamer of the week is none other than Jameis Winston, man. I know he lost. I know he's a backup quarterback. But goddamn, he balled out. And I love to see a guy like Jameis win. I do. But even though he didn't win, he still gets the free gamer of the week because of the performance. 366 yards passing, 2 tuds, an interception. But he also had a receiving touchdown. Stiff-armed a dude, got into the end zone, looked very slow, by the way. But at the end of the day, when somebody that positive in Jameis Winston, what he has been through a lot of shit in the NFL. There's no doubt about it. And he always stays positive. He always does these crazy motivational speeches. He's a believer in God. He's good with me, man. So to see Jameis have a crazy game, he's got to be the free gamer of the week. He's got to be. But yeah, I think that's it. Oh, another thing. This is important. Okay, I need everybody to listen up around the world, especially in Lincoln, Nebraska. if you have a package and it is dark, turn your damn porch lights on. I am tired of pulling up to a house where it is darker than closing your eyes. Close your eyes right now. Look how dark it is. See? That's how dark it is when I'm trying to look at your house numbers. Some of you don't even have house numbers. You lucky I don't call the cops on you. I'm not no rat. But yeah, turn your lights on. Fellas, if you got a wife that you know orders a bunch of shit, just flip it on for her. Because they don't even know half the time that they're even getting a package. But yeah, to help your local, not just UPS, all the delivery drivers, I don't give a fuck about any of them, but help them out. Turn your lights on, man. Turn your porch lights on. It'll help us out a lot. It's going to be a tough week for us next week. So please, for the love of God, turn your porch lights on. But that is it for this episode of Free Game. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit the like button again. Hit the subscribe button again. Follow the TikTok, man. It's in the bio. Go do it. Follow Apple. It's in the bio. Go do it. Spotify, same thing. You don't have to watch it. You can listen to it while you're working. You can listen to it while you're driving. You can listen to it while you're on the plane, hopefully, if that's still going on. But yeah, man, just make it more convenient for you. But that is it. Roll damn Tide, and I'm out.